the fall of Trab. Trab was born and raised in a rough neighborhood where survival was often more important than school books. His real name was Travelmock, but nobody remembered that anymore. Trab was what everyone called him, a street name he had chosen for himself, short and sharp like the life he lived. From a young age, Trab was defiant. Teachers would call home, but he never cared. His single mother, worn thin from working 2 jobs and raising 4 children alone, had little energy left to discipline him. By the time he was 14, he was already skipping school, hanging out with older boys who had deepened street life, and running errands for local drug dealers. His teachers tried, but he had already made up his mind. School was a waste of time. He dropped out before completing his final year of high school. His mother cried, pleaded, even threatened, but he wouldn't budge. The streets gave him fast money and power, things no classroom could offer. Trab soon became a well-known figure in his neighborhood, not for anything noble, but for being unpredictable, ruthless, and dangerously charismatic. He started off as a petty dealer, but he quickly carved out his own corner, pushing harder substances. With the money came the ego. He harassed women, bullied weaker street boys, and lived like he owned the world. People feared him. Some envied him, but few respected him. At Bainta, his world began to crumble. He had made too many enemies, crossed too many lines. After a particularly violent attack on a rival gang and repeated complaints of drug trafficking and assault, the law finally caught up with him. He was arrested during a sting operation and sentenced to 12 years for drug-related offenses, illegal possession of firearms, and multiple counts of harassment and assault. He served 7 years before being released on parole for good behavior, or so it seemed. In reality, Trab had never changed. Prison didn't break him. It hardened him. Behind those walls, he built connections, created a network, and solidified himself as a kingpin in the making. He recruited fellow inmates, plotted territories, and managed operations through loyalists on the outside. By the time he walked out of prison, he wasn't just a street hustler. He was a cartel boss in disguise. His return to the streets was marked by violence. He took back everything he thought he was owed and more. Rivals were eliminated, informants silenced, and even women who had rejected him in the past were targeted. He now had a small army under his command, and with more resources and a refined criminal strategy, he expanded his operations. Drugs, weapons, extortion. Nothing was off, but the law was watching. Trab had become sloppy in his arrogance. His operations, Onse this Great, were now loud and destructive. His name was on the radar of every major law enforcement agency in the region. A special task force was set up to bring him down. It all ended one rainy evening. Trab had just concluded a deal at a warehouse on the outskirts of the city when the task force swooped in. What was meant to be a quiet arrest turned into a full-blown gunfight. Trab, armed and unrepentant, refused to surrender. Bullets flew, men shouted, and chaos erupted. He was shot multiple times during the confrontation. Ibn As, Iblid, defeated back, refusing to be taken alive. By the time the dust settled, Trab lay lifeless, a bullet through his chest, eyes open in defiance, even in death. He died the way he lived, violently, stubbornly, and without regret. Epilogue. Trab's death sent shockwaves through the underworld. His empire crumbled within weeks as his loyalists turned on each other or fled. His mother wept, not just for the son she lost, but for the child who had lost his way long before he died. In the end, Trab became a cautionary tale in the neighborhood, not a legend, but a warning. A life of pride, violence, and rebellion, extinguished before it could ever find redemption.